In a free society, we absolutely have a right and a necessity, I would say, to hear even the most offensive, controversial, extreme views. Now, that's very different from saying that people have a right to act out those views. And the Supreme Court has always understood that distinction in modern history.
A few years ago, the Library of Congress acquired the American Extremism Collection from a dealer. It consists of about 10,000 pieces, which embraces all religious groups, political groups, groups of diverse and divergent beliefs. Because if you're going into scholarly research, into scholarly inquiry, you have to look at opposing points of view. For instance, you can't study the 1950s without knowing why you had a House Un-American Activities Committee. I mean, what were they looking for at the time? Should we only collect Republican literature today because we have a Republican government? Well, of course not. We can't do that. I mean, that would be absurd to even think of it.
I think that the American people probably take their libraries for granted and don't realize that they are fragile institutions that must be protected, that they have very much to do with the Bill of Rights, with freedom of speech and freedom of opinion, and that they don't realize that they are in jeopardy a considerable amount of the time.
I'd like everyone to remember that this is a celebration, not a funeral. Praise God. Let's be happy about this.
Almost no one advocates censorship, but individual acts of banning books are routine. In 1990, the American Library Association reported more than 1,000 incidents of attempted censorship at public libraries across the country. Some books have been labeled racist. Others are disputed on religious grounds. In some cases, a single word can trigger what is known as a censorship incident.
One can talk about censorship almost in a general, almost abstract way, but you have to experience it directly, in one sense, to appreciate the enormous harm that it can do to our lives, not only in the sense of having access, but to the more general issues of freedom.